Welcome back, adventurers! This is D&D Debates, where we take the rules of Dungeons & Dragons a little too seriously, so you don't have to.
Today's question: should goblins be Fae? Wizards of the Coast changed them in the 2024 update. Goblins, hobgoblins, and bugbears are all officially Fae now.
I'm Arthur, and I think it's about time. Goblins came from the Feywild, and this change reconnects them to their wild, magical roots.
And I'm Derek, the voice of reason. Goblins are supposed to be scrappy little humanoids with bad hygiene and worse manners. Making them Fae? It feels like rewriting Tolkien with glitter.
Let's roll initiative!
Alright, let's start with the basics. For decades, goblins have been humanoids. Small, sneaky cave dwellers, the classic CR1 monsters. You find them in dungeons, swamps, and old ruins. They are troublemakers, not fairy creatures.
But, according to the new lore, goblins, hobgoblins, and bugbears don't actually come from the material plane. They originated in the Feywild long before Maglubiet, their god, conquered them. They were Fey beings, part of the Queen of Air and Darkness court. That's the real home.
Sure, but then Maglubiet came along and changed everything. He enslaved them, pulled them out of the Feywild, and sent them marching across the plains. Centuries have passed since then. The goblins we see today, well, they've been in the material plane for ages. I say they've evolved. They're not Fey anymore.
But not all of them. The 2024 lore states that some of them are still Fey. They either never left or they still carry the magic of the Feywild. They are very rare in the material plane, but they are not unheard of. So that gives us two distinct branches, the goblins that are still Fey and the goblins that became more humanoid after spending a lot of time in the material plane. I think that's a cool split.
Well, I'll admit that's a clever way to explain both versions, but that's also my point. If most goblins have been humanoids for centuries, why retcon the entire species as Fey in the monster manual? It's not very clear. It should have been two separate stat blocks, not one sweeping change.
Alright, maybe, but this is a way to remind players that they weren't born evil. They were corrupted, conquered, changed. So this retcon brings back their mystical side. It's like the chaos and trickery that's always been buried in their DNA. Think about it from a world-building perspective. If goblins still carry that spark of Fey magic in them, that means that the raids, the mischief, and even the chaotic leadership make sense. Because they are driven by their Feywild impulse. Loud, unpredictable, and destructive just for the sheer joy of it.
Or it just means they love breaking stuff.
Yeah.
You don't need the Feywild to explain why goblins act like goblins. They are scavengers, opportunists, survivors. Not every noisy campfire ambush needs to tie back to the Queen of Air and Darkness.
I mean, yeah, but now it can. Yeah, listen, like, maybe the raid was not random. Maybe some goblin chief got whispered instructions from an archfey. Maybe there's a crack between worlds and goblins are pouring out like living echoes of the Feywild. It opens up story hooks.
That's fair, but not every dungeon master wants to juggle planar politics when running goblins. Sometimes goblins are just goblins. Making them all Fey feels to me like overcomplicating something simple that worked perfectly fine.
I have a good example. Did you watch The Legend of Vox Machina?
Yes.
So, Season 2, Episode 7, there's a character called Garmelie. Garmelie is the perfect and a beautiful example of Fey roots still being present. Garmelie in the series is a faun or satyr.
A simple wanderer who enjoys a little entertainment.
What are you reading?
Oh, nothing. No reading. I can't read.
That's
Oh, no, it's
curious. Oh my.
Unless you like them.
The likenesses aren't bad.
Why do I have 3 peni?
So just imagine a goblin that shares these Feywild characteristics just like Garmelie. So I see all this as giving the dungeon master more options, not fewer. You want chaotic cave goblins, you go humanoid. You want tricksters that shine and giggle in the moonlight, you go Fey. I think it's both nostalgic and fresh.
Except the official stat blocks do not make that distinction. That's where the mess starts. My player casts Hold Person on a goblin and I say, sorry, it doesn't work. They're Fey now. They're Fey now. cue the argument at the table.
It's a little bit confusing, yes, to be honest, because the book Mordenkainen Presents the Monsters of the Universe clearly states that goblins are humanoids.
What?
So yes, it's a contradiction. So in my opinion, that spell should still work. But let's admit it, goblins laughing off mind control with Fey resistance sounds really cool.
Fun for you, maybe. I mean, we're just having a friendly conversation here, but it does mess with my head when I see the monster manual describe all goblinoids as Fey. But then you open the Mordenkainen book you just described, and goblins as a race, they are clearly described as humanoids, goblinoids. But they have the Fey ancestry as a trait, like the elves.
Like elves.
Then the same book states that goblinoids that still retain their Fey roots strongly are rare. And it has stat blocks for the Hobgoblin Devastator and the Hobgoblin Iron Shadow, examples of these rare goblinoids. Let's talk mechanics. Goblins are quick, cowardly, and built for ambushes. They have nimble escape, they run, they hide, they stab ankles. That's grounded behavior. Fey creatures though, they're supposed to be otherworldly, bound by bargains, oath, and old magic. Goblins don't follow rules, they follow chaos. As a matter of fact, we published a video about goblins not long ago in popular lore and TTRPG history, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
That's a great example of how I see goblins. The 4 revamped goblin stat blocks included in the video are only marked as Fey because I wanted to follow what the monster manual said in the 2024 version. I might just re-export them, to be honest.
Está bien machado, así como que, no, después se fue para seguir lo que dice el pinche libro. And that's exactly why they fit. The Feywild isn't all about politeness and pacts. It's unpredictable. It's the wild side of nature. Goblins are the Feywild reckless energy made flesh. They light fires just to watch them burn, and they follow anyone loud enough to lead them. That's Fey energy, pure and simple.
But then what about Maglubiet?
What about Maglubiet?
He's a god of war, tyranny, and conquest. So how does a divine overlord enslaving Fey spirits make sense cosmologically?
That's what makes it epic, because Maglubiet was not confined to one realm. He conquered beings from another plane entirely, the children of the Feywild. It's mythic, yet almost tragic. Picture it like this. Goblinoids were once magical and free, but they were conquered and turned into instruments of war. That's storytelling gold.
No, I'll give you that, it's metal. But it also means that the goblins we meet now are the descendants of the conquered ones, far removed from the Feywild.
Yes.
So I would rather keep their history as Fey, but their present as humanoid. It makes both eras distinct.
Or maybe they never really lost it. Maybe the Fey spark is dormant, awaiting for the right moment, the right event, or the right moonlight to awaken it. This is the kind of mystery that keeps a world alive.
Alright, here's where I stand. Goblins started in the Feywild, sure, but that was eons ago.
Correct.
Maglubiet conquered them, reshaped them, and for centuries they have been part of the material plane. I think they used to be Fey, but aren't anymore. It's part of their myth, not their current state.
And I'll end with this. Goblins being Fey does not erase their past. It reconnects them to it. It gives them roots in something wilder, older, and more magical. They're not just cannon fodder anymore. They're echoes of the Feywild, living chaos with a history written both in war and wonder.
So to recap, Team Tradition says, goblins should stay humanoid, grounded, and classic. And Team Evolution says, let the Feywild claim them again. Chaos and magic belong in their blood.
Now it's your turn. Should goblins stay humanoid or should they go full Fey? Or should you have both kinds running around in your campaign world? Tell us in the comments and give us your best goblin scream while you're at it.
And remember, roll high, argue hard, and never trust a goblin with fireworks.
See you in the next episode of D&D Debates.